Shalom and welcome to Yah's prophetic poetry on this beautiful sunny day. And I am Jonathan Mish, and I'm excited to bring you another word study today. The word study today is from Galatians 3:10. This is a very, I think, highly debated topic. This is one where Christians of the kind of the North American faith is they use this passage that we don't need to keep God's commandments, that we're not under law because the law is a curse. And the as I started studying this passage, I looked up the words as I'm doing it, and I realized and found out that there's a word of in this passage that does not mean of. So I'll screen share here and I'll bring it up and we'll go over it together and we'll look at this. We got Galatians 3:10 here. For all who rely on the works of the law are under a curse. For it is written, curses every one who does not abide by all things written in the book of the law and to do them. And I'll keep going here. Now it is evident that no one is justified before God by the law. For the righteous shall live by faith. But the law is not of faith, rather the one who does them shall live by them. Christ redeemed us from the curse of the law by becoming a curse for us. For it is written, cursed is everyone who hangs on a tree. So that in Christ Jesus, the blessing of Abraham might come to the Gentiles. So all that we might receive the promised Spirit through faith. So the first one is this word of in Galatians 3:10, and we'll bring up the Strong's Concordance here, and we'll look at the definition. So the word is ek, and this word ek means out of, from, by, or away from. It doesn't mean of. So when you look at this and you go back and you read that passage now, it brings a whole new light, because in this very verse it seems to contradict itself in the very passage. So now if we read it with those words, for all who rely on the works out of or away from the law are under a curse. For it is written, curse is everyone who does not abide by all things written in the book of the law and to do them. So that one word, the two, one little word like that, if you don't know what that word means in Greek, you can twist these words, this passage, to think that we're cursed because we're trying to keep the law. It says that, as it goes down, that, we're not justified by the works of the law. And I would agree with that. We're not justified, but we're not going to do the law unless we have faith. That's what the rest of the world does. They don't have faith in the Father and they don't have faith in the Son. Therefore, they're not even going to try to do God's commandments. But by my faith, because I believe, I'm going to now try to honor God by keeping these commandments, not for salvation, mind you, but for blessings. And I was listening to someone the other day, and they were doing a debate, and the guy says, why do you do these commandments? And the purpose why we do these commandments are for blessings, for life, to receive the promise. So like we have to really try to dive in and look up what these definitions of words mean so we have the right context in the verses. And if we don't do that, then we're going to have doctrines that we're going to make up because we're taking this English translation and we think we know what the words mean, yet we don't because we don't go in and look what the Greek and the Hebrew definitions of those words are. Um, so, you know, when we're looking at the blessing of Abraham, and the promises that might come to the Gentiles, we can go back into Deuteronomy, and we'll go to first Deuteronomy, and we're looking at this aspect of what is the curse of the law. It's the curse that makes us be distant from God, because that's sin. When we sin, then we have the curses. So Deuteronomy 30, verse 1, and when all these things come upon you, the blessing and the curse, which I have set before you, and you call them to mind among all the nations where the Lord your God has driven you. So this previous chapter talks about when you break God's commandments, that he'll scatter Israel all throughout all four corners of the earth. And because they were not keeping the commandments. And so now that they are scattered, then all the nations are going to be blessed. Why are they going to be blessed? Because they're going to remember, as the prophecy says, that Jehovah gives us, that when they remember and recall these promises, these commandments, that then he will start bringing us all back. Those who are redoing these commandments. So, there's a lot to go over throughout all of Deuteronomy and throughout the rest of it. Deuteronomy 30. When you continue reading, it talks about that these commandments aren't hard; they're not burdensome. He says, who's going to go up to heaven to get the commandments and bring them back down? Who's going to go across the sea and then bring them back to us so that we can do them? They're not hard. They're close and near. They're written on our hearts and on our minds. Sounds familiar in the New Testament. Where did they get this concept to be written? Jeremiah 31 and Hebrews 8. He'll write it on our hearts. So I hope this blesses you, and that these word studies are going to help us in our walk and looking up. I know it's helped me a lot to understand these things, because of my dyslexia. I have to read a little bit slower, and so I have to, when I stumble across some words, I want to look them up and see what they mean. And that's why I happened just to look up the word "of," because it wasn't, it was an easy word to read, but it was just like, oh, why is this contradicting itself in this passage? And so hopefully this is gives you some idea of what to look for as you're reading through the scriptures. And it's interesting because also, like, every time Paul talks here at the end of each verse, he referenced another passage from the Old Testament through it all. If we want to be a part of Abraham, then we have to do the things that Abraham did. That's what Yeshua says. If we want to be children and seeds of Abraham, then do the things that Abraham did. And James talks about this. He said, was not Abraham justified by going and doing what the father told him to do by offering up Isaac? Your works are the evidence of your faith. And if there's no works, then we're not doing a good job of showing our faith. So anyways, may Yah bless you, keep you, make his face shine upon you, and give you peace. And I'll say shalom and have a good day.